Yo, yo, yo.
Okay, don't do that anymore. We're sleeping in the Hypnospace. We'll put the headband on. We're gonna check out what's up with the BIOS here. I'm gonna actually reset this because the boot up screen's really good. I don't know much about this game. It looks pretty weird. I watched like 3 minutes of the Giant Bomb Quick Look and then decided I needed to play it for myself. You're an internet cop. What's my name?
You're the Fuzz.
Snoop Doggy Dog. Oh,
Was
sorry.
Snoop Dogg an internet cop?
No, he
Custom
just said, "What's my name?"
pronunciation. What? All right. Well, let's see what happens. Anyway, so what's going on, guys?
You're on the internet.
November 5th, 1999.
1999. Okay.
What were
Talking
you...
about this game actually made me look something up today, because when I first started using the internet, it was in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, apparently there were 12,000 websites, which sounds, like, obviously that's like nothing compared to what we have today, but that still sounds like a big number. But at the time, I remember browsing the internet using, I think it was Yahoo, and all the websites were just sorted into categories. And, like, you could literally just browse through, like, the kind of tree of websites and see them all.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, come back the next day and, like, nope, same 4 websites on whatever this one subject is. That's what you get.
That's all
Crazy.
true. Oh, no.
Right.
But 1999 is a whole other kettle of fish.
1999 it was a year. It was a year. That I can say. That much I can say.
How would you know, Joe? Huh?
I was there.
You some kind
I
of
was
year
also there.
expert?
Yeah, I started when I'm trying to think when we got an internet connection. Maybe 97 for me.
Your hard work.
Snarkcast says,
definitely
wow, that
was not-
scared me for a second.
There in the, like, it depending on what era you came up in, the good old days of the internet was like way back when nobody could use the internet, and it was just like this few elite group of people that like had access via college or whatever.
It's where the future is built.
So the only thing that I will say about that is, like, I'm not super into gatekeeping, but I will say that it seems like a bunch of shittier people have gravitated towards the internet.
I mean, it's everybody's on the internet now, so that's why
Oh,
it
right.
seems that way.
Rhino Nar 14 says, hey guys.
Hello, Eric
Howdy.
Allen.
Hi.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow. The little trip through the town square there before the Hypnospace logo, that is bringing me back to some of those really early social spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's extremely aesthetically accurate to late 90s.
Select topic below to continue. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely like it felt like that was the era where it felt like the internet was like this cool, weird hangout for people where you could kind of get away with anything. And then it turns out that having a space where you can get away with anything just turns everybody into like a bunch of shitty misogynist Nazis or whatever, which is where we're at nowadays. And it's like there is like this weird thing about this game where it's like, I don't want any cops on the internet because I didn't want any cops on the internet when I was 17 and getting into the internet. But now I feel like we might need some fucking cops on the internet. And the problem is that means that, like, if that cleans up the harassment and all that bullshit, that'd be great. But then it means we also lose all the cool shit that we had on the internet back then. You know?
Save it for the dark web.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so.
Direct your attention to the top of your desktop.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I have very mixed feelings.
Anywhere.
I'm not sure how much of what's cool on the internet is necessarily illegal.
Oh man, you can give people music and videos, and you can post whatever you want.
I suppose.
Man. It's the ultimate
Smoke
freedom.
Monster.
It's true democracy.
Smoke Monster.
You know.
Smoke Monster says agreed, and I'm not sure if he was agreeing with me saying I don't want cops anywhere, or are you saying that maybe we do need some cops on the internet? Yeah. So I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm not actual cops. But...
Well, now you are the cops.
Some sites and some communities do a very good job of policing themselves, and some don't. So I think varies to a certain degree.
Also known
But
as the Hypnospace Intelligent Intermediary.
yeah, I don't know. The internet was very different in the late 90s and into the early 2000s. Like when it was something that your family was mystified by, as opposed to like now. I was talking to a friend of mine about this.
Now they think they know what it is, and it just makes
Right.
it worse and scarier for people who actually know what it is.
Right. Like a friend of ours was in town for a couple of days over the weekend, and we were talking about because there was a thing that came out about like MySpace accidentally deleted everything from before 2016, I
Right,
guess.
yeah, all the music files and stuff.
And Megan was like, "Is this a good thing or a bad thing?" And I'm like, "I'm not entirely sure which of those it is." But then that led to a conversation about LiveJournal and stuff. And it was like one of the weirdest things when I finally relented and got a Facebook account was that I saw my parents and their friends and like people of that generation like taking the same dumb quizzes and sharing the same dumb memes that I did on LiveJournal in like 2001.
This tutorial will guide you through everything you
Well,
need
except
to
now
know
that
to
stuff
better
has
your
been
fellow
like
Hypnospace
updated and
citizens
regurgitated
and
through
earn hypno coin
BuzzFeed
along
or
the way.
whatever, right?
Right. A Smoke Monster says he was agreeing about the misogynistic psychos getting online statement that you made earlier.
I think they were always there. I think that some of us just thought it was like people like dicking around and being assholes, and it turns out they were shitty the whole time. I'm not 100%
they were always
sure.
there. They just got organized.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that
or
some
now there's
people...
a critical mass of them or something. I
Yeah,
don't
there's
know.
a critical mass.
I mean, look, I played Quake with racist assholes.
Oh,
in,
for sure.
Like,
well, I mean, like
2000 or whenever
right,
that
I was gonna
was.
say,
You know?
and like in 2006, Sean Elliott's great statement about Xbox Live microphone was like putting the next worst thing to putting a loaded shotgun up to your face. Like it's always been that way to a certain extent, right? But it just didn't feel like Joe said, it didn't feel like organized. It just felt like the chaos of the internet that you had to like learn to sidestep or avoid. And now it feels like it's not like that anymore.
It also felt like there was
it felt like it was inevitable that the good guys were going to win, and now it doesn't feel like that anymore.
Right. But it also felt like a lot of the bad guys weren't like...
Chime violations are content infringement, harassment, illegal content, malicious software, and extra legal commerce. See, this is all the good stuff about the internet, except for the harassment thing.
Right.
Here's what I will say is that in the old internet days, that wasn't normalized that everyone had a voice and could constantly interject into the conversation, right? That was a Web 2.0 thing that came along, what, mid 2000s, I guess, like
that.
2005 or something like that. Yeah, like there were no comment sections, right? Yeah. So there were web pages, and they were big or small, and a lot of the small ones were just like, I made a thing and put it on the internet,
Maybe
and you can read it if you want. You had
or what was the one before Easy Board?
Boy,
remember the old hanging content things where it was impossible to read anything? Anyway,
yeah, if you weren't on a forum, you were on someone's webpage, and you weren't able to constantly make your shitty opinions known 24 hours a day, right?
Well, no, and again, there was like, it was easier to police because the
it wasn't
populations
billions
of those
of
things
people
were so
making
much smaller.
their shitty opinions known all the time.
Right. And it's like, and also I feel like there was a sense that people were saying outrageous things, not because they actually believed them, but just because they had a venue to say an outrageous thing.
Right.
Like, not everybody who said something racist on the internet, I didn't assume then that they were actually racist if they said something racist. And now, definitely, like, if you say something racist online, I'm just like, racist.
I would like to posit...
That would have been my naivete, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I would like to posit that racism is not this light switch thing that people are or aren't, and that most people are racist to different degrees, and that you can do a racist thing without being...
I agree. I think what Joe is saying is that there's this thing where like a 15-year-old will say the N-word just to see what the reaction of the people around
Yeah, sure. They're testing boundaries.
That's what it felt like on the internet back then, and now you see that, and you kind of can't afford to give people the benefit of the doubt anymore.
No, that's right.
Well, they haven't earned it anymore, right? There's no sense that they.
And some of that is just maybe the wisdom of us getting older. Also, I don't
well, yeah,
know.
sure, absolutely. But I mean, there was like, okay, did you guys ever run across any like racist Doom wads or anything?
I don't. You know, probably
around right in my circles, right? And like,
for sure, yeah.
They were really like looking back on it, I'm like, that is so terrible. I can't believe one that existed, that someone like made that and did that, and like. But I feel like at the time I felt like, and again, this could have been my naivete because I was like 14, but I felt like the person who made this isn't like a dyed-in-the-wool like clan member racist. They just think that this is outrageous and funny.
Oh, sure. Some of it was definitely just for shock value.
Yeah.
Even though like it is shocking and it's super gross, and I would never at this point even install that to see what it was like. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even test the waters at this point. But then it was like, I mean, I was young and stupid and whatever. And again, I believed people's intentions were different. Not that shouldn't matter, I guess. But like, again, when you're 14, you don't know any better.
Well, I think also the stakes are not the same as they were, because I think in a large part because of social media, right? In the way that now you can have a social media account and then people can weaponize the racism and the sexism. And, you know, instead of there being one shitty person online for you to deal with, suddenly there's 10,000 of them, and they're like, you know, not only are they harassing you and making your internet account
or it's
impossible
100 of
use,
them with an army of bots,
maybe,
right.
But not only are they making your like Twitter or Facebook account impossible to use, but then they're finding out where you live and, you know, calling you or driving by your house. Like it's you know, you can't get away with the same stupid ass games you could back in the day, because the stakes are a lot scarier than they used to be. And I think a lot of that goes back to when Gamergate happened, and it's like the
thing that's weird now though is even if you make a non-shitty game, you're at risk of having a bunch of really shitty people like.
Right.
You know.
Right, but that was like when we reached critical mass of like, oh, the shitheads have learned that they can punch back and be felt. And they've got this kind of array of tools now that they can use, right, to get back at people that they don't like. Whereas, you know, in 1999, if you're on the internet with a shithead, they could text, you know, maybe on a forum or something, they could write you a message and say that you're stupid.
But IRC channel like fucking nasty.
Yeah,
so
but they're not.
A moderator came along and banned their IP address or whatever.
But they're not going to get the fucking SWAT team to show up at your house and shoot your dog.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay. So Kevin Ball says, "Oh man, I saw Nitro Rad review this today. I don't know if he liked it or not, but I think it seems like Eric likes it so far. But Smoke Monster says people get fuming mad at me for purging racist, homophobic, misogynistic hacks from my ROM pack lists. I don't care about preserving that stuff. It can cease to exist. It blows my mind that there are people now who would message Smoke Monster to say, how dare you cut out this Super Clan Brothers hack or whatever, you know, hack from the ROM packs list.
Or if you feel like that needs to be preserved, then put it on a hard drive and preserve it yourself.
Right. Yeah. Although, I mean, I think nothing.
I mean, that's there's like a weird thing, like with that MySpace thing. Like, does all that stuff need to be preserved? Is it like?
I mean, I feel like if you had a photograph on MySpace or a
like,
song
does
on
every
MySpace
demo
that
every band that never
else.
existed and somebody recorded in their basement need to be preserved? You know,
right? If you wanted to keep it that badly, you would have backed it up somewhere besides MySpace. I think is probably the only thing would be like, so I haven't like logged into my MySpace to check or anything, but I was hazy on when, because I saw some things that were like all the music from before 2016 is gone, and then I saw some things that were like everything from before 2016 is gone. And I'm like, okay, well,
downloading Gooper Screen.
I'm like, well, I mean, I probably made some posts on MySpace that, you know.
Oh man, this thing does real nice with the text-to-speech stuff.
Nice.
Let's see what's up with Gooper Screen, shall we?
Sure.
Gooper Screen.
Kevin Ball says Nitro Rad did like this game, and Smoke Monster says he's by no means prudish. He thinks the really raunchy, lewd stuff is great.
Yeah,
I mean,
Tumblr killed itself, so
I feel like there was a Mario hack where Mario was naked and had like a tiny like 2 pixel wiener that like bounced in front of him as he ran. Like that was.
I think that's like old as the hills.
Yeah,
I feel like I was hearing playground rumors about that stuff in the 80s.
Well, someone made it real in the 90s though, so.
No, but I'm wondering if it was kind of real then too. Like, were they just, maybe not the wiener thing, but maybe were they just recolored his sprite all flesh color, basically?
Yeah, basically. I remember I went through a period where I downloaded
Barnaby's Chair
hacks.
American alternative rock
Super Mario
group
Brothers.
Barnaby's Chair's forthcoming record, Giving It Time, is a masterfully crafted tour de force of folk rock song reading and inventive literary lyricism. Listen to samples below. We're going to listen to this.
That looks a lot like AOL did in the late 90s, for sure.
Click the monkey below to listen to and read the lyrics to Satellite Orchestra.
No, wow.
Can I turn this up? Oh man, there's a fake music player.
I've heard it said that you can skin the fake music player.
Yeah, how do we do that?
Nice.
Can I download this song?
I don't know. Kevin Ball says, still probably good to keep a record of things somewhere for record keeping. I mean, but does there need to be a record of the fact that there was like a racist Mario Brothers
Right,
hack?
like we should keep all the records of like the president office or whatever, or like all the, you know what I mean? But I don't know that we need to save all the comments that somebody left on some random guy's YouTube page from 10 years ago. I don't know if all that stuff necessarily has.
There's no way in hell that we'll ever be able to sort through everything that's being generated by all humans ever.
Right.
I think that was already not true. That was already true before, right?
Now you can now it's actually possible. It's just whether or not it's actually worth doing is a question.
Smoke Monster says, I love when you find sites that still look like this. Which does occasionally happen. Like sometimes you stumble on some super web 1.0 thing and you're like, how is this still here?
Remember the good old days? The great music, home-cooked food, and respectful youth?
Relive it all here. This is extremely AOL, like mid-90s AOL.
Right, where everything is cordoned off into its own little...
I don't think I ever had this kind of internet experience.
Yeah, I mean, we had like jumped from free AOL disk to free AOL disk for a little while, and we definitely got a taste of it, but like I was on the internet right at the tail end of that stuff, so like once we signed up for dial-up service, it was just the real raw dog internet, except for in school, where like in school we had not just like things to like, you know, like browser filters or whatever, but we had our own little like secured away operating system and stuff that we had to use. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a fake bookshelf that you had to pick stuff off of. And there were ways, like everybody figured out ways to get out of that and just use Windows, and like people, that was very much frowned upon by
Smoke Monster says, I need to see their web awards list. Do you need to see the links to the web ring as well?
There is an awards thing in here, I believe.
Is there? Ryan R14 says, I never had net back in the 90s, but you had the slang apparently. We had AOL when you had to have, you know, you couldn't get the, as Eric said, the real ass raw dog internet. You had to have a client of some sort, whether it was Prodigy or AOL or whatever. We had AOL, and then but we didn't have a second phone line, so I had to like tell my parents and my sister not to pick up the phone.
Yep.
Like if I was playing Doom,
who had a second phone line? Come on.
Some of my friends started getting them.
There was a great deal of tension in my house, like from the time I was like 17 or so until we finally got broadband in 2005. So there was a 4 or 5 year period where it was like the phone was on all night long, and
I'm downloading Commander Keen. Don't pick up the phone. I downloaded 5 megabytes. It took like 45 minutes.
You're right. This is also before there were downloads pausing software.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Right. I had to go to. I went to.
Or even if somebody called you sometimes and it disconnected, you'd have to start all over again.
I went to a news group and downloaded this photograph of a naked lady, and it took
Yeah. Yes. Hell yeah. Yeah.
And if
I mean, before the internet, I was on
and I was
BBS.
out the minute and a half that it took. Yeah, I was on.
Check out this
BBSs
ASCII
too.
boob.
Yeah, I was on BBS's as well. I actually have a couple of my friends have spun up like a Telenet server so that they can play like an old MUD
Oh, okay.
with some people, and I'm like, really, guys? Like, I mean, I play a lot of old video games, so I guess I can't cast stones, but like, there are other things that do this thing you're doing. But yeah, I don't know. The old web was weird. It was weird. It was a weird time. It was a weird thing. But yeah, eventually we got broadband, and so then the war over, don't pick up the phone. I was about to frag somebody in Doom, and you picked up the phone. I can't believe it.
The funny thing for me is I still remember the first day we had internet because I was the one who set it up because my dad was at work and this thing arrived in the mail and he called home and he's like, oh yeah, and like plug this thing in here and call this phone number and you'll be on the internet. And I'm like, okay, whatever that is. And I remember as I was poking around in like the first
are really good. I wonder if there's places I can download some of those. Hang on. Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. It's just thinking my overriding impression for the first couple months that I was on the internet was like, well, this is kind of fun, but it's completely useless. There's nothing here that's like useful or essential in any way. And it's
nothing has changed.
Yeah, I don't actually agree with you at all, but
yeah, I don't know. I remember there was a time when I thought it was weird that certain companies or certain entities had websites because it was just like, why would Oscar Mayer need a website?
Everybody knows what a hot dog is.
Right. And of course now if a company doesn't have a website, you're like, what's going on? Like, is this company real? Are they
fly-by-night operation?
Yeah, it doesn't have a... And I remember Eric was talking about school. In school, people were really into. Was it? I want to say it was like the Lifesavers website, but it was like CandyStand.com.
Yes, CandyStand. Yes, mini golf.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, mini. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Yep. Really crappy Flash-based or whatever Shockwave, mini golf game. People were like, "Oh man." And it was just like because, we had a computer lab and the teacher couldn't possibly watch what all of us were doing at once. So, go to CandyStand and play shitty mini golf. Do you think CandyStand is still online?
I don't know. I can check here. Let me load up my web browser. We'll check here.
CandyStand.com goes to the Publishers Clearinghouse site, which seems really weird.
I don't know. Was there what happened?
Has a
Nintendo
bunch of like kind of
day that we were going to talk about.
We were.
All right. You know what looks really cool is that new Necrodancer Zelda game.
Okay. Yeah, you posted a link to that, or you talked about it in the email thread. I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then I looked it up.
It's real.
Also, my friend Pedro on the Switch.
Combination.
I have not heard about this game at all, Joe. My friend Pedro, it's some sort of weird slow motion shooting guys game.
Yes, with a banana, featuring a banana.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a Devolver Digital thing. It's a 2D shooty uppy thing. It looks pretty great, and apparently it's a console exclusive for the Switch, or at least a timed one. So that's cool. Also, Nuclear Throne and Super Crate Box are coming to the Switch.
That's good. Why not?
Super Crate Box.
I mean, yeah.
Are they gonna make it free? That was always a free game before.
Yeah. I don't. Or is there there's like a Super Crate Box 64 that?
It looks like it's just this plain regular one. Maybe it'll be like a pack-in with Nuclear Throne. That would be kind of cool. Nuclear Throne is a really good game that I would like to play some more of, but it's also very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard. It's very unforgiving in the sense that you can just die in a quarter second at any time, basically.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested in that Necrodancer game. I think it's really interesting that Nintendo is letting these people basically take the Zelda IP and make this weird game out of it. That's not a very Nintendo thing to do.
Not in a many years, anyway.
Didn't they just let a company do that exact same thing and they made Hyrule
Dynasty
Warriors?
game? Yeah.
Yeah. And then they did it with Fire Emblem too, because that one, you know.
I guess I don't think I don't know. It doesn't feel the same. Like that's a big Japanese. That's a big Japanese company in an established series, whereas this is like a small American indie company making a rhythm roguelike using their own characters and Zelda and Link.
Yeah, I mean,
the whole thing strikes me as weird, but also pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it seems dope. I didn't love Crypt of the Necrodancer as much as a lot of other folks did, but I think it's cool.
I like it a lot. I wonder if this means Danny B is going to get to do some remixes of Zelda music.
I don't know.
I consider that best case scenario.
But also, not related to the Nintendo thing, but yesterday Konami announced some new compilations.
Yeah, I'd like to be a lot more excited about those than I am right now.
Well, the arcade one is the only one that has a full game lineup, and it's 8 games that are all already available on its Arcade Archives downloads, but also, like, if you downloaded them all individually, it cost you like $64, and they're selling them for $20, so I'll probably buy it anyways. Also, that means that the quality of emulation is actually pretty good, because Hamster is actually pretty good with that stuff. So that's good. I don't know if you want to play Arcade Gradius 2 or Salamander or Thundercross, you know, those are out there, or they will be. I mean, they are out there, but they're $8 a piece, and they'll be $20 for the whole kit and caboodle come April 18th or whatever. The thing that's got me wondering, though, what's going on is they announced a Castlevania and a Contra collection, and they have only announced half of the games in each of those. And I am...
Yeah, the lineups so far are not incredible.
Arcade Contra and Arcade Super Contra, Mike.
Woohoo. Great.
Well, so I just played the role of internet cop, and I don't feel good about it, so...
So,
you just busted some 6-year-olds.
The teacher, apparently, is the one that is illegally using gumshoe gooper artwork. So
she's going to jail.
Yeah.
Internet jail, at least.
And you got paid.
I thought it was Abby's World, but...
Yeah, so the Castlevania collection is what? It's Game Boy 2, 3, and 4. Is that what we have so far?
That's what we have. So that's half of what is going to apparently be included, and
so we're 0 for 4 at this point.
I wouldn't say that, but apparently
Wait,
you don't like Castlevania 4. Do you like Castlevania games at all, Mike?
I like Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night and a few others.
Those are already available in a collection, Mike.
So wait, what were the games in this again? I was too busy being an internet cop.
Original Castlevania.
Okay, that's
Castlevania
good.
3, Dracula's Curse. Castlevania 2, Belmont's Revenge, which is the Game Boy one.
What?
And Super Castlevania 4. And then there'll be 4 more games announced at a later date.
Okay, so Castlevania 2.
Right, so my thought is, like, I don't think they're going to do Rondo and Symphony because there's already a $20 collection with those 2 games in it, and it would be sort of cannibalizing their own sales.
You're probably right about that.
So I'm sort of like, I don't know, like, I hope they don't put Game Boy 1 in there because that game sucks, and if we're only getting 8 games out of this deal, that should not be one of them. But I would, honestly, the whole package would be worth it to me if they put Adventure Rebirth in there, because that game is not actually available anymore.
Or Bloodlines.
Important message
Bloodlines
received from Dispatch.
Be in there. Like, there is no reason for Bloodlines to not.
Like, I don't have a horse in the race because I've already got it to play elsewhere, and I know it's not a great game, but it's really weird to have Castlevania 1 and 3 from the NES, but not the second one.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, who knows what they're going to reveal when the games are left, but I don't know. It's a weird look, and so is the Contra thing that starts with the 2 arcade versions of Contra that, you know, again,
Arcade Contra, Arcade Super Contra, NES Super C, and Contra 3: The Alien Wars are the.
So I mean, I can vouch for 2 of those.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of those games are super good. If they somehow dropped the ball on having NES Contra on there again, like with this inability to re-release original NES
Downloading
Contra.
April.
I'll just be mystified.
Guys, I
Like-
just paid 22 whatevers for April the Angelic Hamster, and I'm pretty fucking stoked about it.
Nice.
It's a virtual pet. Oh man,
Yeah, we have to check this out.
22
Nice.
euros is a lot of money.
Is that what that's supposed to be? I think that's like their fake Bitcoin.
I know, but they look more or less like euros.
Smoke Monster says Nintendo used to take down YouTube videos that just had pictures of Link in them. It was a response to the Crypt of the Necrodancer thing. And Perfidious Leaf says, "Hey guys." So yeah, I don't know. I Arcade Contra. So there was a dude who was commenting on. I don't remember which video it was now, but one of the videos on the channel was commenting
They
about
actually
how
pay real money
they-
for pet food for this hamster.
this guy was saying that he thinks that Arcade Contra is better than NES Contra, which I just think is a totally baffling take. But you know, I mean, you do you. And if they put Arcade Contra on this collection and not not actual Contra, NES Contra, the good version of that original game, that's just so mystifying to me.
Like, I would consider paying $20 just to have a legal version of Contra Hardcore to play, because that game looks really good. But I would be happier if there were, well, I mean, I like Contra 3, but I've already got it. And
Right.
Super C is a fine game as well, I guess. But
Yep.
I want them to put something in there that I can get a little bit excited over. Like Hardcore Uprising, like a good game.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I need to revisit that, actually, because I saw somebody else was like stumping for that game the other day on Twitter and saying that it was their favorite Contra, and I'm like,
It's super funny. Just
They fed the hamster, and then it pooped. Also, the page warned me not to rub the hamster's face with the poop, which I am going to do right now.
oh, you're a bad hamster owner.
Yeah, well,
it's not fun for them, and it shouldn't be fun for you, Eric.
I mean, oh, she said so sad. She went from smiley, how do you like this, huh? Clean it up. Oh, she's turning green. Bad news for April. I think I killed the hamster by rubbing poop in its face.
Well,
You better go. You're gonna have to go squeal on some more grade school kids so you can get paid for sending their
R.I.P.
teacher to
April.
prison.
Here lies April. Okay.
you hamster
Anyway,
murdering son of a bitch.
Joe, the secret to making Hardcore Uprising fun is that you just want to be sprinting most of the time.
But then, like, why do I even have the option to walk?
Oh, doesn't matter.
Why do you have the option to walk in Mario? Also, I didn't like that game either, so I don't know. But
A little different. Let's see. Smoke Monster says Arcade Contra is really, really badly emulated on pretty much everything. The real PCB isn't as bad as it may seem. The NES but the NES did get the better version. And Perfidious Leaf says, Joe, I got a question. Have you been to Japan? I lived in Japan for a summer 15 years ago.
Whereabouts?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Osaka.
Oh, Osaka.
Smoke Monster's comment, and actually Smoke Monster would be the one to answer this. I feel like I heard a rumor that somebody was working on a Mr. Core for Arcade Contra and some of those other early Konami arcade games, but I don't know for sure. I do know that I spent some time this past weekend messing around with some of the early Capcom arcade cores that Jotego's done for the Mister, and they are
Artie's inimitable
fantastic.
visual stylings have been the face of the Earth Haze movement since its inception. His unique design language is stark and playful on the surface, but is infused with the nourishment from a spiritually and environmentally conscious well that runs deep.
Are you gonna
Man,
rub
machine,
poop
and
in his
nature.
face, too?
I still have the poop. I could try that. I guess there's no way to like to do like this is before you could like drag windows and
Man, this game is weird.
This game is super weird.
yeah.
They
Perfidious
put a lot of
Leaf
work into
says-
making this game really weird.
I think
Yeah,
I
right.
read someplace that like they contacted a whole like shitload of various artists and other people to like make a lot of these fake
to
web
make, like,
pages.
Web 1.0.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Smoke Monster says, yes, I think it's okay for me to talk about Ace's Contra core that's in the works. So there we go. There'll be a Mr. version at some
A
point.
Contra Core, eh? Well, I'm not against it.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfidious Leaf says, I asked because I'm going there in a few days. Do you have any places you'd suggest I visit? Yeah, I would suggest you visit the Shogun's Palace in Kyoto if you have a chance. And
Go to that weird robot
The robot restaurant
thing. Yeah, I've heard that like the food is so-so,
yeah.
but that's an experience that is you cannot miss when you go to Japan.
If you're interested in retro games, go to Osaka's Den Town because Akihabara is pretty much dead at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's all maid cafes or whatever, but Mike's been to Japan way more recently than I have, so he's probably actually.
I've been to Japan 8 or 9 years ago, so not that recent. But by the time I went there, Akihabara was already kind of on its last legs. Like, you know, Super Potato still had some stuff, but there was not a lot of else to find. Whereas in Osaka's Den Town, it felt a lot more kind of real, for lack of a better word. Like, it was just lots of old electronics stores, and you could, you know, occasionally get a decent deal on something. Did get that salamander cart for 500 yen, for whatever it goes for now.
Yeah, there you go. It's a lot more expensive than that, but it's not like outrageous. I think it's in the $35 to $40 range for a bear cart of salamander on the NES, or the Famicom rather.
Otherwise, I mean, Kyoto is just rife with amazing.
Hey, good news, guys! Hypnospace is year 2000 ready.
Y2K compliant.
That's good.
That's good. Smoke Monster says, I'm trying not to draw too much attention to the Contra core so he doesn't feel pressured to finish it quickly. That's legit. I can understand that. If Ace is
turns out there's a bunch of
this,
shitty people on the internet who will insist people do free work for them. And
and get
jerks
really
when it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's just turn the internet back off.
So yeah, I don't know. And Mike was saying about Kyoto. Kyoto is beautiful. It's one of the most amazing places I've ever been in my life. There's a ton of history there. You should go there.
You like temples?
There's a ton of history
Kyoto's
everywhere.
got temples.
There's billions of years of history, no matter where you go.
No, Japan is actually way better at history than most places I've been to.
In spite of the fact that we blew it up pretty bad in the 40s.
I mean, not all of Japan.
In spite of the fact that most of their old temples are actually like rebuilt on a semi-regular schedule, so very few of them were actually ancient buildings.
In fact, we spared Kyoto of any bombing because of its historical significance. The Shogun's Palace in Kyoto is one of the most amazing buildings I've ever walked through in my life. You can't take pictures in there or anything, so it's hard to communicate at, but it's pretty ridiculous.
The castle at Himeji was also really stupefying, although there's not a lot of other reasons to go to Himeji. But I don't know. Get a.
I've heard that Peace Park in Hiroshima is pretty like humbling, but
it's intense. It's you know, it's a little preachy, kind of like Metal Gear Solid. It's a little heavy-handed.
I can't believe that people who got vaporized would be heavy-handed about their feelings on war.
Don't know what to tell you.
But as long as it's not as wordy as
Granny
Metal
Cream's
Gear
hot butter
Solid.
ice cream. Heat and sip.
What the hell?
Lucille Hutchinson, the real Granny Cream, made her first batch of delicious hot butter ice cream all the way back in 1937. After serving generous batches to the less fortunate kids in her neighborhood, Lucille's husband encouraged her to package and sell her creation. She initially employed local butter boys to serve her hot butter ice cream at sports games. Her delicious hot butter ice cream achieved global fame after Green Devil pitcher Filbert Smith was photographed enjoying a bowl to celebrate his team's World Series win. I can download Chowder Man's creative rap take on the classic Granny Cream jingle by clicking here.
I'm really happy that you found this because you were searching for butts.
Yeah, I was trying to find butts. We'll try boobs and then.
Filbert Smith is not a baseball ass enough like baseball name. Like they need like a more baseball-y. Like there's a dude. What was the one that I just saw the other day where I was like that. Like the Brewers had a catcher like 2 seasons ago named Jet Bandy, Jett, Jet Bandy. I was like, that's a baseball.
Removed search terms. Sex. Can't even search for sex.
Man, the internet was terrible in 1999.
Yeah, right.
This is not the internet. This is the HypnoNet or whatever.
Oh,
you have to fall asleep with a special headband on to even get here. So,
Tuffy Ghost Witch. That's a guy playing an MLB right now. That is a baseball name.
No,
So I just
That
no
feels
search
pretty good.
results, Joe. It's got to be made up. Anyway,
I wonder if you can find a whole web page dedicated to Filbert Smith now, though. That's what I
you
want.
want me to look?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, did I not spell it right? Was it Filbert?
Pretty is
Yeah,
PHI, you know?
Yeah, no, it was PHIL. Yeah, PHILBERT.
Darn it, I didn't get anything. The search engine is not very good.
Mm. All right, are we calling it an evening? I think.
Yeah, I do need
Yeah,
to get
we
to
can.
bed. I need to go and get on the Hypnospace.
You guys want to check out Boppo's Fine Meats before we go?
Sure.
Oh man, these gifts are so goddamn good. I want to go to the Hypnospace and get off the internet. You guys want to come with me?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Sandy's empty nest page. Oh no. Like a retiree.
What? Empty nest page?
I like how just like everything on Hypnospace is an animated GIF, which I'm like, even in the 90s, the web was not this thick with
It
animated
would have taken
GIFs.
hours to download these web pages.
Yeah,
You
right.
can get the Meat Saver screensaver.
Oh no, hang on.
Oh, you can't afford it. Damn
I
it.
can click here to go to Sandy's humor picture gallery. Burst with laughter, BWL. Oh, okay, that already whacked her because she had a gooper or whatever. What was it? Gumshoe
Oh, you,
gooper.
you send her off to the big house.
A little bit of don't you just love Mondays? And finally, some wisdom for the kids. I guess I accidentally should have made it here before. Anyway. All right, well, that's Hypnospace Outlaw. This I don't know what the fuck this is.
I'm still not sure either, but you know.
I got my $20 out of it already, though.
Sounds good to me.
All right, well, that's it for this week.
All right, we'll be back next week with
Be nice.
something. Yeah, be nice to people.
Yeah.
Don't be an asshole. Don't be racist. Don't be any of that shit. And if you are, just keep it to your fucking self.
No, man, this is the internet. This is
No,
freedom of
stop.
expression,
No,
man.
stop.
Everybody needs to know my opinions on everything all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least they need to know our opinions on video games. So hey.
Fuck. We're part of the problem. Fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, let's just log off then.
bye.
Good night, everybody.